Happy Sunday, everybody. This is Father Taylor again. I just wanted to get on and I wanted to kind of do two things. First of all, as we're just a little bit over a week away from the election, just offer some points of discernment for Catholics, some thoughts for us as Catholics to have as we're approaching the election, ways to, again, pray and discern, as we move forward, knowing as Catholics our duty and our right that we have. It's a very difficult election, obviously, that we're coming up on, so just wanted to offer some thoughts. Then I also wanted to end with an encouragement about a novena that I'll be doing. And so I'll kind of give some instructions about that more towards the end. But basically what I wanted to start off with, again, like I said, is talking about, first of all, what is our call as Christians? And today's gospel is a very beautiful one because Christ told us what that call is. Love. Love is that one great virtue that we're called to. Love is that one singular thing that unites us and makes us like God, who is love. God is love. And so that's what we're called to. It's to imitate God, who is love. Now, when we look at that virtue of love and what God asks, Jesus in the gospel today tells us, he says there's sort of two commandments to it. There's loving God above all things with your whole heart, your whole mind, and your whole being. Then there is loving thy neighbor, loving your neighbor as yourself. He says the whole law and commandment depends upon these two. And so the image that's kind of evoked is the image of a keystone. I don't know if you've ever seen like an archway or something. Keystone is the stone right in the center of the arch where all the other stones press upon together and are hinged upon that one. They depend upon all the way the structure kind of falls in and is linked together in that one keystone. And so even though it's one, it is fundamental for the rest of the structure to hold together and to be built up if that one is not in place and is not strong enough. So what Jesus tells us really is love. Love is that reality. Now, again, when we have to think of what love is, define what love is, it's not simply an emotion. It's not simply what we normally think of as love. Love is sort of the culmination of two other virtues. Again, sort of like how there's two parts of an archway that climax and meet in that keystone. So too we have to look at there are two main virtues that lead to this. So first of all, it's justice. Justice is the first thing that we see leads us to and is completed in love. Justice is not the same as economic efficiency. Justice is not the same as revenge. Justice's truest definition is to give to each person, what is their right, what is their due, what they deserve. So it's very grounded in reality. It's very grounded in a duty that we all have to attribute to each person what is their right, what do they have a right to, that just living. Charity and love, what it becomes it becomes not simply our ability to give what is just, but to go beyond that and to give really what is my due. So love goes above and beyond just what justice says, but it completes it. It has to complete justice to then move forward. And so what we say is love without justice is sentimentalism. It's sentimentalism to live justice without love, because then what we're doing is we're not guided by rights and dignities. It's simply, what seems to feel right. Justice without mercy, though, actually is injustice, because it's so easy for it to fall into, a sense of having completed exactly what was delineated out and stopping there, and not being aware of all the rights and dignities that are necessary in this. So we have to look at that sense. And then the other understanding of justice is not determined by an authority. It's not dependent on the majority rule. Justice is something that is founded in the nature of each person, in their relationship to their right. Everything's nature is directly correlated with the rights and dignities that are theirs. A bird has a right to fly, but a grizzly bear doesn't. It's not in accordance with the nature. And so therefore to, cage a bird up or tie it to the ground is preventing it from fulfilling its right. To do that to a bear is not necessarily. So we have to look again as that how love and justice are playing off each other. But again, it's not dependent on the majority rule. It's not dependent on the way in which the world would determine what are rights and just and dignities, which then is where the virtue of fortitude comes in. Fortitude is not equated with power. Fortitude is strength. Fortitude is that virtue that reminds us as Christians that we will never fully be accepted in this world. We will never fully be able to conform to this world. When we go back to look at justice, the first duty of justice that Jesus even tells us is the honor that is due to God himself. He is supreme. He is God most high. We have a duty to give to him. Fortitude then is that duty that we say we have to sometimes face opposition. We have to face those that oppose us in giving what is right and justice to God and to others, and to stand strong in that, to have the strength to resist it. Justice or fortitude is most seen in that way in which God sent his son to die on the cross. That's true strength. Fortitude is the martyr who can smile in the face of his accuser. That is true, really, that is true justice. That is true strength. Jesus doesn't say that we will not have enemies, but he tells us to love our enemies. In order to love them, we have to have a strength to face them, to go against that enemy. And so in order to fulfill what is right and just, we need strength, we need fortitude many times to resist it. And then again, it all together forms in that keystone, which is love. Love that draws all these things together, encapsulates it all, and bears really the weight of it all. And so fortitude then becomes that call we have to be strong in the face of that we're not called to be the sugar of the world, we're called to be the salt of the earth. What that means, we preserve the world, but we're many times not going to be favorable with the world. So fortitude is what couples with justice in order to give in every situation what is right, even if it's not what the majority says, even if it's not what is necessarily the most accepted in that time and place. So when we look at this, every decision we make, again, everything is founded on love and should be founded upon that love. So where we stand as Christians is every single decision is founded from that love. The love which is, again, the climax of justice, which is also the climax of fortitude. And so the structure that we're building has, again, charity as that keystone. But we also have to look and see that there are decisions we have to make that require a true loving decision. And especially in the society that we're trying to build, the world we're trying to build ahead of us, we have to examine what sort of structure do we build as Catholics, as Christians. And at the end of the day, again, we have to say, fortitude calls us to not say that we'll ever fully be accepted in this world. We'll always have some kind of a resistance. We'll always have some kind of a pushback. The world will always oppose God and his law and his rights. So what we have to look at is when we prepare to making decisions for our society, what is a fundamental rights? What are the rights and dignities that we as Catholics, as Christians, are called to uphold? And so again, we go into a similar kind of format. What are the keystones of the decisions that we're making? As we look forward to the election, what rights, dignities form the particular keystones of our society? If we look back at like the ancient pyramids, the pyramids, they formed that perfect kind of, triangle shape. And that stone that was on the top, that square, is ultimately kind of this linking stone that all the ones underneath it are bonded together and kind of spread through that one stone as that stone supports and gives really the complete form to everything else. If we invert the pyramid, we see again how that stone bears all the weight, but also forms everything. Everything kind of falls into place and is locked into place with that stone. So we have to look as we vote, as we prepare to make the decision to vote, are the rights and dignities that form that. Not all of them are on the same playing field. And first of all, like we said, justice is not equated with economic efficiency. It's not equated with profit. It's not equated with taxes or all that stuff. That's not what justice means. The first thing we have to say, our duty is to give to what each person what is their due. What are the rights and dignities we are called to give to each person? When we look at that pyramid, the first and foremost, most important right we have to give to everyone is the right to life. Okay? The right that every life from the moment it's conceived has to be protected, to be born up, and to be born, and then also to give it a sustained life, is a right that all have, again, is that fundamental, pivotal point. There can be no other rights from that one. This right is not simply one point amongst others. It's the fundamental. It's the founding point of it all. And so what do we do? Where do we say that, okay, this singular right brings all together? Okay, because abortion, it attacks every human life. It's attack against all rights. We cannot have any other rights if we don't have the right to life. Also, abortion, we have to look at the way it attacks. They target the immigrant. They target the minority. They target the poor. I mean, the number, it's like some 58 million, that have died from abortion. And so that is, again, that reminder that those attacks attack all those lives. And so, yes, if we want true dignity, we have to see how that's an evil that we as Catholics cannot cooperate in. We have to support that right of life. And so, supporting the right of life is the first and fundamental one that then is built upon for the other rights. After the right of life, we have basically the freedom of religion, which again allows us to do what we deserve to give to God. Then it's the right of the family, and the true definition of defending what is the family. The family, again, is that fundamental thing that forms society, that gives birth to life. That has to be defended as well. The rights of things like protecting the immigrant, the alien, true and just immigration, right, income laws, protecting those that are oppressed. Those are, again, all formatted together and are locked together, but they build upon the right to life. That right to life is really a non-negotiable. And so we have to say is that those other rights, they are important. But if we compromise the one on the bottom, then we really compromise the whole structure. Okay? We compromise the whole structure. If we can defend the right of life, then we can also work on building the other ones. But we never fully will be able to defend those other rights if we're not defending the right of life. So I encourage all persons, all Christians, all Catholics especially, this is your duty to defend that right. That is what the Catholic mindset says. We cannot vote, in a mindset that supports abortion. We cannot. It's an intrinsic evil. It's an evil that takes away all of the rights. So we're called to make that stand, and again to use that fortitude to stand in the face of the opposition, to recognize that again not by majority do we make this decision, but it's by nature. So we have to continue to make that our appeal, to make that our call. So as we approach preparing for this election, this is such a fundamentally important topic. So I encourage everyone to pray and I want to discern. Do not go and vote if you are not aware of all the opinions that your candidate stands for. Especially if you are not aware how your candidate stands on the issue of life and abortion. I encourage you not to make that vote. You have to know what your candidate stands for in this matter, because you will either cooperate for or against certain rights and everything. And so as Catholics, we have to know that. And if you are voting for someone who is for abortion, then we have to say, okay, that is not the Catholic voice. You're not acting in accord with the Catholic Church. So this is where we're called to make our stand firm. The other thing is that starting tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a novena for the nation. This novena for the nation, what it's going to do is I'm going to take really 3 of the main patrons of America, and I'll be writing up and doing a novena to them. So what it'll be is, a novena is 9 days, so it'll be 3 sets of 3. The first 3 days, I'll be praying with and praying to Our Lady of Guadalupe, the Queen of America, the kind of, woman who appeared as an indigenous pregnant woman to Juan Diego. And so there'll be the first 3 days, I'll be doing the novena of her. The second 3 days will be to St. Rose of Lima, the patroness of the Americas, not just South America, but all the Americas. She herself who prayed so diligently for the protection of life. She who saw the unjust treatment of the Incas. She who saw the slaves, the Negroes that were in the area who were being mistreated, and prayed and did penance so fervently for them. I'll be spending 3 days praying and speaking with her. The last 3 days, we'll be praying to St. Martin de Porres. And it'll end ultimately not just on election day, but on his feast day. Martin de Porres, again, he was born of a black mother and a white father. He was kind of an outcast from society. He was considered a minority. He was discriminated against, but he became extremely holy and was able to give himself completely and totally to the service of God with a charity that was so supreme. So basically starting Monday until the election on Tuesday, every day at 11:30 Central Standard Time, I'll be kind of getting on, doing a video, and I'll also have a write-up of the prayers I'll do. And so each day they'll have kind of a different focus when we're in on those different people. So I invite all of y'all to, again, take this to heart in your own way, pray, fast, prepare for this. And just continue to know that this is a time for us as Catholics to make our stand firm, to truly live as Catholics, to not be afraid, to have that fortitude, to face the enemy, to love our enemies, to pray for those who persecute us, and that in so doing, we imitate God himself. May Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.